Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to medical coding anatomy, where we will be mainly discussing about the pericardium serous membrane. If you remember, prior to this session, we covered one more type of the serous membrane. I hope you all know that because this session is in the continuation of the same. So here mainly we will be focusing on what is pericardium serous membrane. So what I'll do, I'll firstly walk you through some of the definitions, important notes that will also help you to recall the concepts during your interviews and exam. Okay. But before we proceed further with the session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on what is pericardium serous membrane. But prior to that, you should know about what are other types that we have already covered, what is serous membrane, right? So if you know these things, then things would be much more easier for you. Okay. And for that, you can also refer the Tech Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find thousands of sessions available in both Hindi as well as English language, a particular tab for medical coding related stuff. So you can just go through those sessions, and in case if you have any questions or queries related to that, feel free to reach out to me through comment section. I would be more than happy to answer all your questions there. And yeah, that's all. And I think we are good to start the session now. So here you can see I have already noted down the definition which is related to serous membrane, pericardium serous membrane. Okay, so let's see what is pericardium serous membrane. A pericardium is a double layered serous membrane that surrounds and encloses the heart and the roots of the great vessel. Now what is that great vessel? The major blood vessels entering and leaving the heart. Second thing is, if you had to conclude the overall definition of pericardium, it's a serous membrane surrounding the heart. So if you remember, in one of the last session we talked about a membrane, serous membrane, which covers the lungs, right? But here we are talking about a serous membrane that is surrounding the heart. Okay, so let's see what is the location of this and how it performs. So the pericardium is located at the median sternum, the central compartment of the thoracic cavity. Okay, so it is present at the central compartment of the thoracic cavity. It sits posterior to the sternum and anterior to the thoracic vertebrae. Now you can see here we are utilizing these two terms, posterior and anterior. That's why I was saying that if you know about the things that we have already covered, like we have covered these kind of terminology. So if those who have already know about the posterior and anterior, they can easily understand what we are saying here. Okay. The next point says it rests on the superior surface of the diaphragm inferiorly. Okay. So that's also related to the location. Now let's see what is the structure of pericardium. So the pericardium is a unique compared to other serous membrane because it has two distinct components. Component 1, that is fibrous pericardium. So let's see what is fibrous pericardium. It's a outermost layer of the pericardium which is made of tough, dense, elastic fibrous connective tissue. Okay, it is made up of all connective tissues which is tough, dense and inelastic. Very important point, it is not a serous membrane, it is a protective fibrous sac. Okay, it's not a serous membrane, it is a protective fibrous sac. After that, it is fused to the parietal layer of the serous pericardium on its inner surface. Now there are few attachment of the fibrous pericardium. Let's see what are these. So first attachments, superiorly fused to the roots of the great vessel, that is aorta, pulmonary trunk, superior vena cava. Inferiorly fused to the central tendon of the diaphragm, anteriorly attached to the sternum by the sternopericardial ligament. So these are some of the attachments we can say related to fibrous pericardium. Now we will talk about the functions, like how it functions, what are the functionality of fibrous pericardium. So basically it protects the heart from overfilling and over expansion. Second is it anchors the heart in its correct position within the mediastinum, prevents the excessive movement. Third point says it prevents spread of the infection from surrounding structure to the heart. And next point says the inelastic nature limits sudden distension of the hearts. Okay, so it also prevents the sudden distension for the heart. Next we have is the second component, which is serous pericardium, which is nothing but an inner component. This is the true serous membrane. Okay, this is the serous membrane. Earlier we talked about the component 1 was not the serous membrane. Okay, layer wise we have three columns here. One will tell you the layer, location, and also called. So peritoneal pericardium is the lines the inner surface of the fibrous pericardium, which is also called as outer serous layer. Then we have visceral pericardium. It directly covers the outer surface of the heart muscle, which is epicardium. Now we have pericardial space, which is pericardial cavity, this is very important because through this only you will understand like what is pericardial space, what is pericardial fluid. Okay, so we should know about these things. So let's see what is the definition. So pericardial space is a very small potential space between the parietal pericardium and visceral pericardium. It contains a film of pericardial fluid, approximately around 10 to 50 ml in a healthy person, and this fluid allows the heart to beat continuously without friction. Okay, so mainly it is used for preventing the friction, the fluid. Next we have is a very important term, one of the term that you might have heard, epicardium. Now what is epicardium? The visceral pericardium is also known as epicardium, where epi means upon and cardium means heart. So epicardium means upon the heart. It is the outermost layer of the heart wall itself. Okay, it is the outermost layer. The three layers of the heart wall are epicardium, visceral pericardium, which is outermost. It's a serous membrane covering the heart surface. Then we have myocardium, middle, thick muscle layer, the actual pumping muscle of the heart. Then we have endocardium, innermost thin layer lining the inner heart chambers and walls. Clear? Next is pericardial stenosis. Now what is this? The pericardial forms two important spaces called sinuses, where a serous pericardium is reflected around the great vessel. The first is transverse pericardial sinus, located posterior to the ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk, and the anterior to the superior vena cava. So this is mainly, like you can see, surgeons use the sinus during cardiac surgery. A finger or a clamp can be passed through it to temporarily stop the blood flow through the aorta and pulmonary trunk. Okay, so it is very important for the surgery. Second is oblique pericardial channel, located posterior to the heart behind the left atrium. It is blind and it recesses, that means closed at the one end. Fluid tends to accumulate here for pericardial infusion. So this is also a very tough situation because here we can't drain the fluid completely. Now let's see what are the functions of pericardium, and then we will see how it is used, how many terms are there, like although there are so many terms, but what all common terms related to medical coding. So function wise, pericardium reduces the friction, and pericardial fluid allows the heart to beat continuously without friction against surrounding structure. It protects the heart from infection and injury. It anchors the heart in the correct position within the mediastinum. Also it prevents overfilling. The inelastic fibrous pericardium limits the sudden excessive expansion of the heart. Okay, and then we have barrier. It prevents spread of infection from lungs, esophagus, and other mediastinal structure to the heart. So these are some important functions related to pericardium. Now we have few terminology related to medical coding. The first is pericarditis, inflammation of the pericardium. Second is pericardial effusion, excess fluid in the pericardial space. Third is cardiac tamponade, life-threatening heart compression from pericardial fluid accumulation. And the next is constrictive pericardial, think fibrous pericardium restricting heart filling. Okay, now we have learned so many things, so let's see how we will remember it. So there are a few memory tips. Think of pericardium like a double-walled protective bag around the heart. The outer tough bag is fibrous pericardium. The inner smooth lining is serous pericardium, and the fluid between the inner layers are the pericardial fluid lubrication. For clinical condition, you can see there are so many other things like pericarditis, effusion, tamponade, constrictive. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. And for today there is one question for all of you, and today's question is a bit tricky. What is pulmonary pleura? I'm sure some of you know the answer of this question. So if you already know the answer, then please do share your knowledge in the comment section, so that those who don't know the answer, they can directly refer it from comment. And in case if you also don't know the answer, you can simply watch the previous session. There we have already discussed this thing in detail. So from there you can learn, and then you can share your knowledge again in the comment section. Okay, but make sure to share your comments, because when you comment down your answers in the comment section, it gives me the idea that you guys are learning from these sessions, and according to the number of comments, I release more sessions related to it. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.